everyone, Skillet, a song in a style of Skillet with Adam Goncher. What's going on here inside? The idea to record the song in the style of Skillet appeared to me after I listened to their new track, Scream. The track is pretty good, but to be honest, I didn't get any pleasure from it. I'm a fan of early Skillet albums. The album Collide, Comatose and Awakened Alive. These are great albums, and I still enjoy them. But at some point, Skillet decided to go for more electronic music rather than alternative metal with a mix of symphonic instruments as it was on Comatose and Awakened Alive. So, in general, I got an idea to make a new track in the style of Skillet. And why not to add Adam Goncher to it? I won't call the project big enough. It's just a standard guitar track, guitars in quadro track, drums, bass, and some additional instruments like violins, piano, and vocals, which is quite a lot here due to the fact that you need a lot of tracks to make the artificial vocals sound good. And again, it's hard to call it fully artificial because it's recorded by me and processed via Applio. What about guitars? 4 tracks, 2 processed with one amplifier, 2 by another, and some general processing. And lead guitars and solo. But about solo, let's talk about them later. The main guitars, the quad record. Let's turn off the general processing and listen to it, what's going on here. The first 2 guitars panoramized to 100%, processed with Archetype Nolly X. In general, like all the other guitars, they also processed by Nolly. We just changed the amplifier itself and some manipulations with the cabinet. The standard main amplifier, I added a condenser microphone to the cabinet in addition to the Shure 57, and both of them are sent to the room to create some kind of emulation of the real recording. I just like it when the separated guitars have a small tail when they are not completely dry. Additional guitars on the same neural DSP, we just changed the amplifier here and approached it to the cabinet a little differently. The sends also go to the room, they are here. In general, they sound a little more sandy, more high-end frequencies, and all these give exactly the sound that I want, such a wall of guitar sound. Lead guitars, they only play the chorus. On the bridge we have a solo part, there it is processed in the same way as this lead part. There are just additional effect like a phaser. Here is the same neural DSP, and additionally before that I added auto-tune waves here. The reason is simple. I have a junk on the Jackson 3rd string after my daughter successfully dropped the guitar flat on the floor and the scale flew a little. Well, I fix it literally in one way with auto-tune at the moment. Everything is okay. And the same Nolly lead amplifier, a little reverb, delay, and in general it sounds like and the general processing we have here on all guitars. This is virtual mix rack, which we will notice in this project literally every time, because I like the presence of all this hardware right here. They work great, fast, and do not overload the project much when you need to do everything fast enough, let's say. The processing is quite simple. I choose a preset from the classic strip, the Heavy Guitars 2 preset, and I started from it. I set it up as I need it in the context of the mix. I put quite a lot of drive in the virtual channel. I raised it up with an equalizer. My favorite distressor, I can say that it does a lot of things here. It just press 2 to 1 a few decibels. I rather needed some kind of attack from it on these fragmented moments. When there are more of these attacks, it works better with drums. Revival, which raises the low end a little. What's next? Then we have the bass. There's nothing specific. I use the bass from Submission Audio. Among all the basses, I choose my favorite one for myself. This is Eurobass 3. Of course, I also use Gene bass. Sometimes I use nocturnal bass. But in the context of alternative metal and rock songs, Eurobass work perfectly. I don't use the internal processing. This is purely DI that goes to the familiar neural DSP parallax. Parallax, I took the most standard preset from two of my favorite guys. This is Conor Kaminsky and Dave Otero. I use them most often, and then I screw up what I needed. Virtual mix rack, everything is the same here on the main processing. Equalizing, which I brought a little more up and click from the bass, and also added a little more bass itself. Compression. Compression is quite strong, heavy here. We press about 5-6 dB reduction, despite the fact that we only have 2-to-1 compression. The same revival, which boosts a little low end. And in general, that's all. With guitars, it sounds something like this. Drums, my favorite part of the mix, literally in every song. Drums, because every time you come up with something new, you use different kits. In this case, we used Josh Middleton's kit, Middleton Ultimate heavy drums. Cool drums, I took the Infested kit preset and I loaded my one-shots here, which I have somewhere. I just choose the one that best suits the sound and edit it to the main kit. Yes, in principle with the sound of the drums it was a little more difficult because Skillet as such does not have its own unique drum sound. From album to album it's different. Moreover, even in the context of one album, different songs may have a completely different mix of drums. Take listen to the whole album Comatose and, for example, Whispers in the Dark. It has some specific drums, snare beats, very high frequencies. On Awakened Alive, drums are completely different. And in general, I try to make something in the middle between all albums. Without processing and one-shots, they sound like this. With the addition of one-shots, for example, the kick and snare, they already sound a little more alive. And in fact, the main processing. Yes, I didn't do multi-out, because in general, why do I need it? Because Ultimate Heavy Drums from Middleton already sounds quite processed, you can say mix ready from the box. But I definitely wanted to bring it all under the general mix. Therefore, here all the processing goes to the entire kit as a whole. Virtual Mix Rack, I added the overdrive with the help of Virtual Channel and with the FG76. Usually I do all this with a decapitator, but it seems to me quite aggressive here. Therefore I went around with one Virtual Mix Rack. A little bit of equalizing. Compression, all this needs to be pressed quite well so that it's glued together. Well, I decided to do the only one parallel compression with the same distressor. The most common preset is Parallel Nuke. It compressed very aggressively. If we mix it at 100%, it will sound something like. Of Of course, we don't need that too much. I left about 20, 22 for myself. This is perfect to glue the drums together. Revival does a little magic on the high end. In my opinion, I worked with the heights on Revival only for the drums in this project. And everything suited me here. Pro Q, equalizer, pure surgery, nothing supernatural. In the context of the mix, I removed something, added something, and the biggest thing here is that I worked on the equalization of the high end in the side component, so that the cymbals feel a little more on the ears, on the left and on the right. And Soothe 2, which just softens the whole thing a little, basically at high frequencies, removes small digital scent. Makes everything a little softer. Well, our guitar track sounds like this. Next, I added all this with violins, lead violin, which should be at the bass in the middle for the intro. In fact, I always imagine the lead part in such a way that whether this part can be played on the guitar and whether it will still sound cool. Here I decided to do about the same. I added the violin and wrote it this way. In this case, we have Sonos Core, the Orchestra Complete 3. Great, cool library. Lately I use it quite rarely because there's no such need, and now just the need was found. Lately I've been using Nexus violins more because I don't need these violins to sound alive and natural. They're more like just something extra in the background. So I often resort to Nexus. Well, in this case, given that it is the main part, I decided to use this staccato from Sonos Core and a little processing in the same virtual mix rack. Here I took 1176, it seemed appropriate to me. Well, it only works at the end when there are little more violins. The second violin, it also plays only in the intro part and in the pre-chorus. A fairly smooth violin, it just pulls one note, more or less, which emphasizes this small additional low in the intro. Here I approach it Nexus, the processing is the same. The piano, which plays in the pre-chorus. In the pre-chorus there are even two parts in the song where all the music falls down and only the piano remains. In the pre-chorus we have this part. In this case I used Easy Case 2. I rarely resort to them, only when we need, let's say, naturalness, when it is necessary to convey a truly recorded instrument. Well, Easy Case 2 from Tune Track copes with this perfectly. Breathe when I look in your... I also compressed it quite a lot. There is enough to make this instrument sound, let's say, in a studio context of the song. Then we have an additional expansion of the chorus. The chorus itself, if we do not take into account these large guitars and solo parts, still remained a little dry for me. Taking into account the fact that we want to make a skillet, which in itself always has a huge chorus. Often they always have not only guitars but something additional. Well, in general I just took the same piano part and expanded it to the main chorus. But I take a different piano instrument. In addition to this, we have a violin, which in this case already plays chords. With guitars, if we turn off the vocals now, it will sound something like this. And then this principle is simply duplicated. In my opinion, nothing changes at the end. Everything is repeated, everything is the same. The only thing is that when we have a solo part on the bridge, we don't have this expansion, no piano, no violin, we have a clean solo here. Yes, as you can see, the solo part itself is recorded here in MIDI. Without hesitation, this is the Audio 3. This part I recorded myself because I didn't like how it sounded in full virtual guitar. The reason is the same. The third string on my Jackson doesn't want to give me a break. That's why I just got out of this way. Vocals are probably the hardest job when we talk about these AI voice parodies. In our case, on John Cooper from Skillet and Adam Gontier from 3 Days Grace. Main vocal I recorded myself somewhere here. I think I have it, if my memory serves me. If when I look in your eyes, you're keeping me alive, the angel who won't let me die. Yes, at first I recorded my vocal as dry as possible, without any screams and distortions. Because when you translate Applio into someone else's model, the same model of Adam, it turns out to be a mess and a huge amount of artifacts. And then, thanks to Cooper and Adam's model, we translated it all into their voices. Let's see what's interesting here. For example, the chorus. I breathe, I'm safe inside embrace, I find my saving grace. Yes, in the presence of everything I found, there was only one model of John Cooper. It is quite medium, but the main timbre and this creak have been preserved here. And in general, you can say that this is even similar to something. But again, in order for it to sound as appropriate as possible, and at least some naturalness was preserved, you always have to record not one vocal, but at least some kind of pack, standard pack as we do for any music. This is main vocal, doubles, intervals and octave down. In this case I did the same. There's main vocal. I breathe, I'm safe inside embrace, I find. Just visually to let you understand how it sounds completely raw and unprocessed, just how Applio gave it to me, listen. I breathe, I'm safe inside embrace, I find my saving grace. Without processing, let it just be in this form in the song, a little bit of boorishness. We can listen to it right now. I breathe, I'm safe inside embrace, I find my saving grace. Well, about. Yes, that's why I always do some processing. In this case, there are interesting moments. I made the processing itself quite easy, so as not to pull out all those disgusting moments with the help of compression, sand and dirt that are in the remade of AI vocal. I cleaned everything, just sand and bottom with the help of Pro Q3. I pressed all the S and dash that were in this vocal well. Breathe! I'm safe inside embrace! And Howard Benson Vocals is the most popular vocal plugin for me here. When I need to process everything quickly and properly, I always go to it. There's compression, mostly equalization and processing of echo and delay. Breathe! I'm safe inside embrace, I'll find my saving grace. You became the life I wanted to erase. Additional vocals are processed in the same way, except that for example, on doubles, we have a doubler which expands one vocal, one take to the left and right. I could record two vocals, but I just didn't have that much time. This is how it works. Breathe, I'm safe inside. We add an interval and octave down vocals. I made the interval quieter than I wanted initially because at the time it didn't seem appropriate to me. But now it just creates the effect of the puck.
Breathe, I'm safe inside embrace. I find my saving grace. You became the life. Breathe, I'm safe inside embrace.
And to all this, I absolutely lacked the amount of high frequencies emotions. All these S, F, B, these consonants, which are very lack in line with John Cooper's model. So I did a very simple thing. I took my original vocals, here it is. Breathe! I'm safe inside embraced! I made a very aggressive double compression here in 76 and here in addition to Howard Benson. And just cut everything down up to 3 and 4 kilohertz so that only this hissing remains. What did it give us? It gave us exactly the same consonants. We can hear it, for example, here.
I'm safe inside embrace. I find my safe embrace.
We can just make it louder to make it more obvious.
I'm safe inside embrace. I find my safe embrace. You became the life.
Yes, some words still eat up a little, and it turns out not quite what was sung. But in the end, it's still better than without it. And of course, in general processing, which we also did for the entire chorus pack. Here we also have nothing special. No, there's something special. There's strong matching for a cappella directly from Skillet. In my opinion, I took Awakened Life, if my memory serves me. I just fed the frequency range of the a cappella, the original Skillet, and fed my own. And I already pulled my own by the frequencies range, by certain frequencies to the original. And a little bit here I removed the unpleasant hissing in the middle and worked with the soothe, which just aligned the whole thing a little frequency. As a result, our chorus sounds like this.
I breathe, I'm safe inside embrace. I find my saving grace. You became the life I wanted to erase.
With Adam Gonchia, the situation is literally the same. The only thing is that I did not use this technique with the matching on it, because on the other model, the original 3 Days Grace, there's much more acapellas which can be used for studying AI. In this case, the other model sounds quite clean and good.
Breathe, when I look in your eyes, you're keeping me alive. The end to a one let me die.
Processing here is more or less the same. All processing is copied, perhaps just the same. No, the same. In this case, I fed Ozone Never Too Late, most likely fed my own, and also started, but as you can see, not so much, only 44%. As for the rest, everything is just as it should be. For example, as in the beginning, in the verse, I added the effect of the phone, the lo-fi effect, which is already in Howard Benson vocals. It sounds like this.
Out of the darkness, I hear the call that into the fire I'm falling.
Yeah, in general, something like this. What do we have in terms of general processing of the mix according to our so-called master? Everything is quite simple, but also with own interesting features. Equalization, which just cuts everything to certain frequencies in the center, and on the side we don't need everything from 18 to 100 from case to case. The most basic processing here is done by CLA Mixdown, which is also such as TIG helper. You just put it on and compress and saturate. There is also bass and treble setting. I never use it. I just like the gluing compression in this plugin. True, I do it quite aggressively, so the input here is very low. I would be happy to do everything in that amount of time, but unfortunately sometimes you have to use not quite the right crutches, as in this case, just a fairly low input, and the compressor works at about 4 to 5 decibels.
Out of the darkness, I hear the call that
In addition, I fried it all with Abbey Road J37 film saturation, just as cool as Kramer tape, as virtual tape machine from Slate Digital. Great and cool, literally slightly warms up with some preset, in this case mastering fat, tight and open. Next to Ozone 12, which will do all the works for me. This is such a magic stick helper with the auto mix button, which mostly works very badly and disgustingly. I turned off the maximizer in this case and then adjusted it to my liking. It gave me these settings, this equalization, also dynamic processing. I have already configured the imager for myself because for some reason it decided to take everything down and make it absolutely flat. I didn't like it. Clarity, I also turn it off at 37, such a thing that makes everything bright and more acidic. In this case, I decided to leave it. Stabilizer and dynamic EQ, such things that work on. Stabilizer is also such an interesting thing which works to adjust the frequencies. I also decided to leave it. I didn't bother too much with it. More interesting in the same much EQ from Ozone. Here I fed, I don't remember honestly, in my opinion, Whispers in the Dark and Awaken Life, and pull up the frequencies a little bit, so you can see most of all this decided to pull up and high frequencies. And we squeeze out the volume as much as we want. In this case, it turned out about -5 lufs. Flatline is just a clipper with which I cut everything that concerns the drums. And already in FabFilter Pro L2, I made the main volume increases here, as you can see, plus 2 and 8. I think if we need it, we will do more. All through, I stopped at more modest values.
I breathe, I'm safe inside embrace. I find my saving grace. You became the life I wanted to erase.
That's basically it. Let me know if you'd be interested in hearing this kind of analysis of my songs or remixes. If so, I'd be happy to make videos like this for you. Maybe you'll discover something new. If not, let me know too. Thanks for watching.